Hello, my name is Lisa Anderson, and I am a Chief HR Officer and the President of Positively in Pursuit, where I coach women leaders on finding their voice in male-dominated environments, leadership courage, and increasing their executive presence. Welcome back to this video series called Pulling Back the Curtain. The inspiration for this video series is me speaking with women over the last few months and asking the question, do you have an exit strategy? And the answer I've been receiving is no. And then, what is an exit strategy? So I decided to do this series to educate on what all goes into exit strategies and a few different components about exits. So in previous videos, I have shared what is a severance package, what is a separation agreement, and those two words are normally used interchangeably, but what all goes into these packages or what could go into those packages? So that I shared in a previous video. And I shared it from the perspective of if you were impacted in a layoff or what I call a merger or acquisition, because a lot of my HR experience is dealing with mergers and acquisitions. So I shared from an individual perspective, here are some of the things that you can look out for if you're impacted in any kind of layoff, and especially any kind of layoff that has to do with a merger or acquisition. So today's lesson, I'm going to put a little bit of a spin to the lesson. And instead of talking about separation and severance packages as it relates to mergers and acquisitions or layoffs, I want to put a spin to it and talk about some things that you could do if you are working in a toxic work environment. Now, again, this inspiration to do this video series came from some of the women's stories that I've heard over the last few months of experiences that they have gone through in the workplace. If you are in a toxic work environment, try to get out as quick as you can. Now, realizing that a lot of us can't just, you know, throw our hands up in the air and just leave a job. We do have financial things that, we're responsible for, our bills, all that good stuff. What I'm asking is it's time to get strategic and intentional about exiting an organization. So, your strategy or your exit strategy, if you're in a toxic work environment, should be to get out as soon as possible using a couple things. Number one, you have to have a strategy around finding your next opportunity while you are still working in this toxic work environment. I recorded another video on interviewing for workplace culture, so please check that out. But you have to have a strategy for getting out while you're still working in this environment. So you have to be doing the things, getting help on your resume or pumping your resume out, networking, looking for other opportunities, getting the word out in your network that it's time for you to make that transition. One story that I heard was of a woman who was working in a toxic environment. Her boss was not a great person, leader, and she had reported this behavior of what she was going through, her experience. She had reported it to the HR department, and nothing was done. And so it took a toll on her mental health. And it got so bad to the point that she had to exit for her own mental health. And, when I hear stories like that, and I am in HR, I get a little angry because it should have never gotten to that point without some kind of intervention with that leader. So here's a strategy, or here's something you can keep in your back pocket. If you have endured this kind of behavior and you've reported it, nothing has been done, one thing you could do is go to your HR leader, the top HR leader, and say, look, I am in this environment, toxic with this leader, and I want out. I don't want to leave with nothing. I've reported it. The organization has done absolutely nothing. I am requesting some sort of severance package. How could that work to your advantage? Well, as I mentioned in a previous video, if you don't ask, you don't know. The worst that they can say is no. But from an HR leader perspective, if I had knowledge that this was all going on and we as an organization did nothing, guess what? There's some risk that goes with us doing nothing, and especially if it's bullying behavior, a hostile work environment, and we've done nothing. Guess what? The HR leader may escalate that up the leadership chain and say, hey, given everything that has happened with this individual, I think it's in our best interest to grant this person a severance package. And this is all of what it would entail. But if you never ask, you won't know. You don't give them an opportunity to say no if you never ask, right? So now the flip side of that, you could ask, and the organization can say no. No, we're not going to grant you a severance package. And then at that point, you know that, okay, I'm leaving the organization. I'm not leaving under the best conditions, right? I'm almost sort of being forced out, because again, no one has done anything and I've reported this behavior. And then, I strongly recommend or encourage you at that point, seek an attorney and find out what your options are. Now, the bottom line to all of this, if you're in a toxic work environment and you're trying to get out of that work environment, if you have an exit strategy that includes job searching while you're still working, if the environment gets so bad and you feel that you need to leave, especially for your own mental health, then get strategic and intentional and decide whether you're going to ask the organization for any type of package as you're leaving or exiting the organization. The next thing is find out from the HR department what, if anything, is going to be put in your record, and what does their reference process look like. And the reason for this is because as you're interviewing for your next opportunity, if you're in a toxic work environment with your leader or your manager, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to give that person's name as the reference for that organization, right? Especially if you and that person did not have a great working relationship. You do not want to give that person's name as a reference because they may not give you a positive reference. You want to make sure from the organization, what are they going to say to the next company that you're going to work for? So it's absolutely okay for you to ask them what's being put in my record and what will references look like. A lot of organizations, they want their references to go through HR And a lot of organizations really only will verify that you were indeed an employee. So they will do name, title, and with the sign release, they may do compensation. But a lot of times the HR department is not going to release anything else a lot of the times. Now, so you, as a part of your strategy, your exit strategy, you want to find out what references are going to look like for you in the future as you're leaving this toxic work environment. Now, if the organization grants you a severance package, as I shared in the previous video, there's going to be a severance agreement or separation agreement, which is a legal document. There are going to be things in that agreement that you want an attorney to review. And a lot of things in that agreement should say confidentiality. They don't want you to disparage the company, but make sure the language is in there that they're not going to disparage you. That's what your attorney is going to help you with, right? The other thing is, if you decide to take the severance package that they are offering you, you have to be very clear that if you sign that severance agreement, you're going to be signing away or relinquishing some of your rights to sue the company. Now, some people, depending on the situation, some people may not have the mental capacity to go through an external lawsuit or to file a complaint with the EEOC, which is a process in itself. So a lot of people, some people may say, you know what, I'm looking for a severance package to help me bridge the gap until I get to my next. So if you're not interested in suing the company and going through that process, then a severance package can help you bridge the gap as you go to your next. So that's an advantage for you as opposed to leaving the organization with nothing. So I hope this video was helpful for you. So please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lisa Anderson, as I continue to drop new information about exit strategies, severance packages, separation agreements. Hopefully you have at least looked at a few of the foundational videos that I have out there. So thank you again for joining, and I hope this was helpful. So bye for now. See you next time.